Peace and love. How are you? I am back after a little bit of a break to get started on another reading. So this morning we're going to do a crystal reading with the Sufi Tarot. And we'll see what Spirit has to say to us. I hope you have been well. I have missed being on here, but sometimes I have to take little breaks from time to time. School just finished for me, so prayerfully I'll be on here more in the coming weeks. But let's see. Let's get some incense going, and then we'll get started. All right. So like I said, we'll do a crystal reading just to kind of see where the energies are right now. And then we'll go from there. All right. Sending some positive vibrations your way. I hope your summer is off to a wonderful start. Well, summer here in the United States, North America, but wherever you are, hope you're enjoying your season. All right, so let's see. And you all know these crystal cards. I use them all the time. They are my one deck. If I only could have one deck, this is the deck that I would have. I also have my hot tea, so you'll hear me from time to time get a little sip of that as well. Since I haven't been on here in a bit, my voice, I want to make sure that I'm nourishing my voice. All right, so this deck, guys, is new to me. Haven't used it on this channel, and I just got it from Hay House. Recently had a sale, and I love to get decks from. I love Hay House. So my decks are limited right now because I'm in the process of moving. I've talked about that before in other videos. So I don't have a huge selection of decks out, but this one is beautiful. Transform your life with ancient Sufi wisdom, and it's extremely beautiful. I don't necessarily gravitate towards decks with people in them, but I've found a couple that I've liked. And so we'll look at some of the cards together. The Two of Staffs, Malik of Coins, a doll for the Justice card, Nafs for the Devil, Six of Staff. So beautiful illustrations in this deck. Of course, the diversity is there. The Sultan, the Three of Staffs. I love that card with the Masai warrior there. The 10. So just a beautiful deck. If you're looking for something that's easy to read, of course, we have different, you'll look in the book for, I guess this would be Kamar. This is the moon card. So you will have to look at the book for some, Sitara, for the star. This is so beautiful, Shabanu. So for the Empress card. So you might have to look in the book, but as far as the visuals, very easy to read. So a wonderful deck for those just getting started or wanting something that is a clear reader. All right, so let's go ahead and get some messages. Let's get some energy on the table. Let's start with our crystal cards. And bear with me since I haven't been on here in a bit. Thank you, Spirit, for another chance to be here. Give me your wisdom. What messages do you have to share with us today? Thank you, ancestors, for your guidance, Most High. Mother, Father, Son, for life, vitality, and strength. Spirit, what messages do you have for us to aid in our healing as we're moving forward? As we're always thinking about our ascension, which means the spiritual body moving upwards, all right? Ascending upwards. And so we want to give thanks for that. That's the reason that we're here, to make sure that we're doing the work that needs to be done to lighten the spirit. Angels, what messages do you have for us today to aid us on our healing and our movement forward? So Spirit is saying we have clarity in a situation that might come back out. My clarity in how we're moving forward, the decisions that we're making, spaces that we see ourselves in, people that we're around, all those things, we have clarity on them, or we should, if we're accessing that higher knowledge, or if we're being confident and truthful and loving to the self. All right, so let's see. And you know me here. Sometimes I shuffle until I feel like I'm ready. So I feel like the cards are ready. So clarity came back out again. So Spirit is saying we know, okay? If anything, we know who we are. Maybe we don't know everything, but we know who we are. We have an understanding of our purpose and why we're here. Spirit is saying because you know who you are, because you have an understanding, and because you've been working towards this movement, working towards this new energy, working towards this new vision, that you can relax. And this is perfect for me right now as I'm on summer break. So taking some time away from the hustle of it all, taking some time away and just going into that self-reflection mode, and just letting spirit guide me to the next steps. And then we have music. So a way for some of us to relax is to put some beautiful music on. But this card also just reminds me of spirit more so than music at times. Of course, for some of us, we get messages through music. So turning on songs and listening for those phrases that pop out to us, that's our guides. Those are our guides communicating with us. I know my guides communicate through to me through music. Songs that I might feel an inkling to put on, something that's playing in my head over and over again. Or if I'm being called to listen to a certain artist, that's going to be spirit communicating with me in that way. So we can use music as a way to communicate with spirit. But also, this card is saying that you are spiritually guided. All right? You can relax right now because you are spiritually guided, no matter how you're feeling right now, no matter what the circumstances, what things look like around you. You have clarity over a certain situation in your life. And then you can start to open yourself up to receiving more joy, right? More joy. And if you don't know what that is or what that looks like, you ask your guides, Spirit guides, can you bring more joy into my life, or can you show me how to access more joy into my life, more joy in my life? And for a lot of us, it's trusting the mind with clarity, and it's relaxing the mind and the body, okay, with the calcite energy. Morganite, healing relationships, not only with yourself, but with others. All right. But really, truthfully and honestly, before we start thinking about relationships with others, we have to think about that most important relationship with us, with the self, and then also with spirit. All right. So healing that relationship. How do you really heal the relationship with spirit? You have to trust. You have to trust, and you have to relax into it. Trusting the vision that you have for your life and relaxing, knowing that things won't happen overnight, but that you've put it out into the atmosphere and that things will happen because you're guided. Whatever you do, Spirit says you do it with joy in your heart. That's the quickest way to make sure that it's, that it's clear, that your mind is clear. If joy is in your heart, if joy is not in your heart, then your mind is probably not clear. All right, so let's get some cards. And let me clarify something about joy in the heart. It doesn't mean we have everything that we want. It doesn't mean that situations are exactly the way we want them to be. It means that you're thankful for life and you're happy to be alive. That's the joy that's in the heart. All right? You're thankful to be here on this planet. Maybe you don't have all the vision. Maybe you don't see everything right in front of you. You shouldn't, because then that won't, we won't have those surprises and those joys and those moments, those uplifting moments where we can have that burst of happiness, coming through. But Spirit is saying that, just being alive, that's joyful. That should be joyful, no matter your circumstances, because the opportunity to try again, to work through the puzzle of life, is the miracle, right? So the Nine of Coins, finding out, the Nine of Coins is that spiritual fulfillment. It's feeling independent. Independent when it comes to your work, independent when it comes to your character, how you move about in life, how you carry yourself, how you show up in the world. The Nine of Coins is somebody who is truthfully walking as themselves. They are comfortable in their own skin. They're comfortable with their vision. They're comfortable with how they see the world and how they see themselves within the world. That is the gift of the Nine of Pentacles. That's the abundance that comes with the Nine of Pentacles. It requires no one else. All right. It's a reliance on the self, but it's also a reliance on the spirit. This particular deck, the Sufi Tarot, Sufism is the idea of being one with the most high energy, one with the creative energy, allowing that to dictate how you move forward in your life. It's the one and only thing that matters in life is your connection with the most high energy, your connection with spirit, whatever that energy is for you. All right, whatever that creative energy is for you. This is the idea of being fully and wholly connected to that. And when you're wholly and fully connected to the energy of spirit and to the energy of the creator or the the creatress, whatever that would be, you're able to access parts of yourself that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. The Ten of Coins, the found family, the spiritual body, those around you that love you, those around you that you trust, that you honor. If you don't have these people here in the physical, they're there in the spiritual realm. They're rooting for you. They're loving you, okay? They're giving you guidance from beyond. And so we want to give thanks for that. Also, the energy of tapping in here, Murshida, with the High Priestess energy. Accessing the higher level knowledge, being at one, being still with that relaxation card, waiting for those messages to come in, knowing that they will come in, all right? Knowing that our guides and that our spirit family, they will connect with us. They will show us the right ways. And then we have the Shah of Cups here. This is the King of Cups. So for some of us, loving connections, loving relationships, opening ourselves up to those relationships that allow us to be vulnerable, those relationships where we are allowed to be ourselves with the Ten of Coins and the Nine of Coins. That is the abundance spiritually, being who you are on this planet and allowing others to see it and to bask in the joy of you loving yourself, right? And hopefully they're doing the same and you're feeling that energy is reciprocal. But that's the Nine of Coins and the Ten of Coins. The Ten of Coins always shows this family aspect. But like I said, the family could be its spirit. But the Ten of Coins is the spiritual foundation that you've built up for yourself while you've addressed the healing, while you've addressed the shadow. All right, while you've gone deep within with this High Priestess energy and you've accessed that hidden knowledge, when you've waited for spirit to give you the next steps with the relaxation card and the clarity. All right, because being a spiritual warrior is not about movement all the time. I know warrior is in the title, so we think it's about movement. We think it's about being on the battlefield, but a huge point of being on the spiritual battlefield is being in contemplation, being in a state of gratitude, a state of thankfulness for life, right? Because the world that we're living in right now, especially in the times that we're in, the world is somewhat difficult. It's difficult in our home lives, just basics, things that we have around us, the smaller radius. But it's difficult in what we're seeing happening in the world right now. We're seeing famine that's always been there. We're seeing disease. We're seeing hatred. We're seeing people who have closed themselves off to love. We're seeing people truthfully and honestly who don't know how to love others because they don't love themselves. We're seeing people who are blaming others for their downfall, not holding themselves accountable. We're seeing the devil energy playing out in its truest form right before our eyes. The beautiful thing about the spiritual warrior in this energy of the King of Cups is a vulnerable energy. It's the masculine energy, but it's allowing ourselves to be strong in our vision, to be resolute in our vision. The masculine energy in the cups is energy of movement. So knowing when it's time to move, but also knowing when it's time to be still. That's powerful. We talk about that a lot here. But moving powerfully with the heart space, moving powerfully with the the heart being fully open to spirit, open to those messages here. The people who are spiritual warriors know this energy. All right. When we're unsure, we go into this energy. When other people are unsure, the non-spiritual warriors, they go into a base level energy which causes destruction. Destruction for themselves and ultimately destruction for the people that are around them. Do they know they're doing this? Sometimes they don't, you know. The ones who are puppets, they don't. Some people are happily led. They're happy puppets. They're happy to not use their mind. They're happily allowing themselves to be controlled by others. That's the most dangerous thing that you can do. All right. And the most powerful thing for a spiritual warrior is to have control over the self, which doesn't mean that we think that we are perfect. It doesn't mean that we have all the answers. It doesn't mean that we have to constantly be positive and constantly think that, things are going to go our way. We can't think a negative thought. That's not what it means. It means that we're working to know who we are and we're working to understand our place in the world, not to be in a selfish manner, but to be in a giving manner where we're loving and looking out for others. That's the spiritual warrior. How can I be in service to other people? The people who are not, they operate in fear. And so fear drives them to see what they can do for themselves. How can I help myself? How can I help myself? And because they don't do this, they don't go within because it takes power to go within. What happens when you go within is you see the things you don't want to see. You see the things about yourself that you don't want to confront. All right, that you want those things to stay hidden. But the spiritual warrior is not afraid to look at those darker places, not to hide them, not to make them disappear, but to acknowledge that that's a part of who we are, right? And so when we know that we have those darker leanings or parts of our spirit, then we can learn not to be activated by it and not to fully rely on it and to fully walk in the way of darkness. Some people don't know that. They are motivated and they're moved only by their shadow. It's easy to do, all right? Because what it is, it's woe is me. It's looking at your life in a defeatist mentality where you don't see the beauty in just being alive with the bare minimum, the basics of just life itself, which is the most glorious gift. You don't see the power in that. Get a sip of my tea. You start to look for others. You look for approval with other people. What do they think about me? Am I doing this right? Why haven't they told me? Why haven't they said that this is the right way to go? That's the danger of life. All right? Because these people are selfish, but they still need approval. They still need approval. They still need somebody to tell them that what they're doing is right, even though what they're doing is wrong. All right? It's a lot of fear in that. And so when you don't embrace that shadow aspect of yourself, if you don't know that that part of you exists, it can completely consume you. Those insecurities that come along with living in the world that we're in, where worldly nature, the ideas of worldliness is totally different than spiritual life. All right? Consume, to want constantly. All right? To need to feed yourself constantly with the things that the world wants us to consume. It's dangerous. All right? It's not the same as the peacefulness of consuming what spirit has for us. All right? One requires rapid movement and banging against the wall, which can cause grief, obviously, but it also causes exhaustion. All right? A lot of times people are operating from fear and exhaustion because they've been banging their heads up against the wall, competing with the world, running with the world. But Spirit says that we don't run with the world. All right? We go within. The answers are there because the blueprint is there. Spirit is there. Our ancestral family is there. And in that space, we are there. Who we are truly meant to be is there. What do these things require? It requires courage here with the tiger's eye. To acknowledge who you are requires courage. Because like I said, you're going to see all parts of yourself. The parts that you want to keep hidden. Why? The healing is found in the darkest places. The healing is found in those places that you would prefer to keep in a box. Truthfulness is found there. Let's see, what else, Spirit, do you have for us? We still have clarity, right? And if we don't have it, we're working towards having it. Clarity in a situation, how we see ourselves. Trust. Trusting the ancestors, trusting our feet, trusting our steps, trusting the ground beneath us, trusting Mother Earth with the prehnite. This is Mother Earth energy. It's ancestral energy. It's the earth. It's the trees. It's that type of communication. Self-love, loving the self no matter what, whatever phase you're in. You might have $2 in your bank account. Let's give thanks for that, right? Because you could have zero. And if you had a negative balance, we give thanks that eventually, prayerfully, a paycheck is on the way. If not, we have to ask Spirit to come into our lives and, push the doors open for us, for those who are dealing with hard times. How we understand it, the power of and beauty of life, and the beauty of the miracle of just being able to be here and to sustain. And it shouldn't be all. Of course we want more. We don't just want to just get by with life. But we have to be thankful for what we have with, wherever we are, whatever phase that we're in. We have to give thanks to that, for that lesson. Some people don't give thanks for the small things. They don't acknowledge them. And for some of us, life is full of small things. The big things might not come in the ways that we see them. They might come in small ways. Should we not give thanks for those? Train ourselves and turn our minds into looking at giving thanks for the small ways. Maybe people don't reach out and don't connect with you the way you want them to. But do you try to connect with others? Do you reach out? Do you show yourself? Do you open your heart? Do you show yourself to yourself? Right? Let's start really small. These are small ways. If you can wake up with self-love and you can love who you are, that's the small blessing. That's the gift that we have to give thanks for, no matter what's in your bank account. Let's train our minds to look at the small things, which are actually, in actuality, are the most powerful things and the only things that really matter. We've talked about this a million times here. The world has conditioned us to think that the opposite matters more than the things that, we consider to be small, minuscule. Those things really matter more than the big windfalls and the big things, all right? Because we have to get there somehow. Me loving myself is more important than me having $1 million in the bank account. Because me having $1 million in the bank account, if I don't love myself, then I'm going to destroy myself with that money and destroy the people around me with it, right? But if I love myself and I have $2 in my bank account, maybe I can't give people things financially, But can I radiate my love and they can feel it? And maybe they can feel better about themselves, or maybe they can feel better about the idea of life. And maybe I can be creative, which requires no money at all. All right. Maybe I can execute a vision that requires no money at all. Maybe I can say good morning to a friend or can tell somebody that I love them, which requires no money at all. Right. So the idea of abundance and when are you rich and when are you not is pretty much the lesson that we live in life, and pretty much the idea of ascension itself and the lightening of the spiritual body. Because when the body is heavy, the spiritual body, usually if the spiritual body is heavy, the physical body is heavy too. All right. Not in all cases, because a lot of times we have to push through the heaviness of life in order to access spirit. We're tested. And so those things can feel like heaviness on the body, but we want to move through that. That's a different thing. That's a different message for another day. But heaviness of the spirit doesn't move. All right. These people who harm themselves unknowingly and knowingly, harm others unknowingly and knowingly, it's no excuses. I'm saying unknowingly, but it's no excuses. It's no excuses to check in with the self, to not check in with the self. That's what I mean. If you've come onto this planet and you have totally forgotten who you are, and you have no desire to check in with who you are, you have opened yourself up to be manipulated and controlled by the world, happily so. There's no excuses for that behavior. But those people, the spirit doesn't rise. They don't know that. Because they might be able to drag those heavy bricks around to manipulate and control others, but the spiritual body won't move. Relaxation again. When you're sure of yourself, relax into yourself. Get to know who you are. All right? This requires time. I'm sitting here reading. Do I know everything? No. Am I learning about myself? Yes. What's more beautiful than learning about yourself? Am I conceited? No. Are we conceited because we want to learn about ourselves? No. People tend to think, you're selfish or you self-centered if you go into focusing on your healing. And that's a wrong way to view things as well, because we have to work on healing the selves before we can come into truthfulness with others, right? We're always healing. It's never a point where we're like, we're done. So it's a constant thing, but you always want to be in a state of working on your healing in whatever way that may be. But getting to know yourself, relaxing into who you are, relaxing into your purpose, seeing all parts of yourself and relaxing, knowing that you might not have all the answers and relaxing, okay? We'll get two more. Giving thanks for what we do have. Forgiving ourselves for things from the past. That's the shadow aspect as well. A lot of times with the shadow, it's because we haven't forgiven ourselves for things we might have done, things we could have said. We could have hurt someone. All right. That's a part of life. Those hard lessons. Reach out to that person. If they don't deal with you anymore, reach out to spirit. All right. And take that to spirit. Take that to your ancestors, your spiritual team, and say that I might have hurt somebody in the past. I might have hurt myself in the past, angels. Or I have hurt myself in the past. I ask that you come into my life and you show me how to heal from those past pains. And you show me how to turn that hurt into a triumph, into a victory, into a testimony, into a lesson, into an answer, into a truth. All right? Help me bring those things to the surface. If you don't remember, if something is keeping you from moving forward, Spirit, I'm unable to move forward and I don't understand why. Could you come into my life to give me understanding of what I can do to move us forward? I want what you want. The vision that you have for me is the vision that I have for myself. Most High Energy, thank you so much for life. Could you please help me move forward? I'm finding it difficult to do so. Spirit, I'm stuck. Angels, I'm stuck. Ancestors, I'm stuck. Would you allow me, or would you help me take one foot off the ground and then the other? And can we walk forward in love and life? Can you guide me? The interesting thing about this, and I'm sorry this reading is a little bit long, but if you've been here with me for a while, you know who I am and what I'm about. And I've apologized, I've apologized about it, but truthfully and honestly, I love who I am. And so thank you for the ones who can sit and listen as we talk with Spirit and as we talk and grow and learn together, because it's reciprocal what we're doing here. We're sharing together, right? I lost my train of thought. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. Give me a minute. I wanted to talk about relaxation a little bit more. Relaxing into the self, relaxing into the purpose. It'll come back to me again. And if you've been here for a while, it's something I've probably have mentioned before. Spirit, if whatever I was going to say, my mind went somewhere else, guys. Thank you. I'm just happy to be here with you all. Past life and heart healing, relationship healing again. So healing the bloodline with the past life card. All right, that forgiveness can go way back. That forgiveness might need to go way back. Forgiving the ancestral line. All right, to bring about heart healing. For some of us, that's the work that we're here to do. We're here to work with the ancestors. All right, we're here to lighten the spiritual body of things that were placed on top of us ancestrally, and then the spiritual body of the ancestral line as well, the heaviness placed on it by circumstance, by the world, by life, by lesson. All those things require a deeper look into. It requires acknowledgement, and it requires you to be truthful with who you are and where you come from. Right? Not because we're afraid of it, but because we're thankful for it in a way, right? Maybe the circumstances were harsh. Maybe they were hard. But resiliency is here for a reason, and we're alive for a reason. We have strength of character. We have strength of heart. A powerful, strong heart is more than you can ask for. Birthed out of difficult circumstances. Why not rail and be angry about the past? It does nothing for us right now in the present. Because things like that don't change. And it's not even about changing the perception of it. Because for some of us, what we come from, especially if you're thinking ancestrally, is hard, it's harsh, it's mean, it's ugly. The ancestors will have us to acknowledge that. We can't take things and put a coat of powdered sugar on it. That would be the most hurtful thing of all. So it's not about changing the perception. What we see is what we see. And what it was is what it was. Same thing for the shadow. It's about how can we overcome it? And how can we become more powerful due to it? You know? If that makes any sense. I'm going to pull one of these cards from the Twin Flame Ascension deck. This is a deck that deals with soulmate energy, but I find that it's truly just a beautiful deck when it's just Ascension. Twin Flame, the idea of Twin Flame, I don't necessarily subscribe to it, but I do believe in soulmate energy, and I do believe the first soulmate is you and yourself. All right? For some of us who won't come into union with someone else, if you come into union with yourself, you're already there. All right? That's the trust in loving who you are. Let's get 2 cards. And then we'll say goodbye to each other. Take me home, 1111, pathway to true love. That's how we get home. That's how we get to the next space in life, the next spiritual space. Whatever that looks like for you, by the way. That's how we get there, through love, the open heart, loving the self, loving life, right? If you're having difficulty loving life, the easiest thing that you can do to help heal that is to go outside. This is coming from somebody who's an empath, but also I work with the energies of nature, because we're all natural beings, and we've been brought up on the inside in our homes, and realistically, we're supposed to be on the outside. You know, homes made to be in for a minute, or homes made from natural materials where we were in it for a bit, and in and out, cooking outside, fellowshipping outside, sleeping inside, you know, things were done outside. That's how you saw people. But now we don't see people. Everything is done on the inside. But the true way to have an appreciation and love for life is to go outside and sit down somewhere and just look around you and give thanks for the trees, give thanks for the grass, give thanks for the flowers. You understand where I'm coming from. That's the pill that we can take right now when we're feeling isolation that comes from being locked inside. Soul merger, coming into union with another, but coming into union with yourself, because don't forget, we're on the pathway to true love. Trust, ask, listen, allow. The first way that we work with spirit is we ask spirit to work with us. We ask our spiritual team to work with us. We allow ourselves to be open to that connection, and then we merge with that energy of spirit, all right? That higher self, we merge with it. That's the pathway to true love. Once we merge with the energy of spirit, once we acknowledge who we are, all facets, all parts of the self, we not only have the crystal clear vision for who we are, but we have an awareness of the world around us, and we can relax in our purpose and relax in our truth. That's what life is really about. Honoring the divine feminine energy in the self and the ancestors, the ones that carried us, you know, in their wombs. We give thanks for them. Let your light shine, all right? Share yourself with others. This one says the path of least resistance, and this is one that I find difficult, you know, to truly understand at times. But it says choose ease and grace. It goes to the relaxation card that we saw earlier. Don't bang your head against the wall, bang your head against the door. Ask spirit to open it for you. And if spirit opens it for you, turn the knob and walk in with thankfulness. But if spirit doesn't open the door for you, give thanks for that as well. All right. Peace.